We're going to be using different types of modules. We have smaller modules. We have modules of about 20. Now these ones, most of the things will actually go into here, but I am actually going to do some extra broad beans. I have got some broad beans that have started to grow of seeds that I planted about a month ago, I suppose. But we're also going to be using slightly bigger ones. I'm quite happy growing broad beans in this particular size. I may actually do my peas in this because I will be multi-sowing my peas of maybe about 3 in each pot. I am going to plant all my peas this year. They're earlies. Last year with our peas we ended up having a issue with pea moth, and that was really unpleasant. Popping the pods on the peas, and lo and behold, a lot of them were full of maggots. So this was not only time consuming, but it kind of puts you off putting those peas in your mouth straight from the plant. Taking those pods off and then popping it into your mouth, they are so sweet and tasty, but you really don't want to do that if you don't know what's going on inside that pea. So this year we've gone for an earlier variety, and I'm hoping, as long as we can keep them covered, we won't have an issue this year with the pea moth. We've also got seed trays. Plenty of holes in the bottom. You want really good drainage. Now with these, I normally do my lettuces, multiple lettuces, and prick them out. Now I have got some things that I will be doing in the large trays and picking out into modules at a later date. But again, it just depends what I've actually got. I think I will put my chili peppers into one of those trays alongside of any sweet peppers I've actually got. Onion seeds I'm going to be doing in the regular sizes, and I'll be doing 3 to 4 seeds in each pot. I'm happy to grow onion seeds multi-sown. They live quite happily together, and they seem to grow quite strong as well when they are multi-sown. More onions to a bed. I'm not after ginormous onions. I do have white Spanish onions, the sweeter variety, which I will probably do singular, and then I've got the Bedfordshire onion, which I'll probably multi-sow depending on if they germinate. I did sow a lot of Bedfordshire onions in the house. Unfortunately, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, none of them germinated at all. Now the compost I used was really crappy. It was supposedly a seed compost, but it was just like sand, and it compacted like sand as well. So I'm using what I used last year, multi-purpose compost, and if it's too chunky it will be sifted. This will have to do for the seeds. We'll start sowing some seeds. So first off, we're going to start with our peas. I've chosen a slightly bigger cell because, one, to be honest, I'm running out of trays and I really do need to get some more this year. Are pretty broken. I'm trying to make any plastic last a little bit longer than a couple of seasons if I can. Now the compost, I'm just using multi-purpose. Now this stuff is actually quite good. Now normally I like to water when I get to this amount, but I actually don't want to be working with wet hands. The last thing you want to do is work with wet hands round seeds if you can help it. And I'm just going to firm it down a little bit, and I'm going to top it up again. Now I'm not too precious with my seed compost, to be honest. I've grown stuff with much larger lumps in, and some stuff that's been very fine. I haven't had a massive difference, but obviously if you can take out the chunks, that does help. Now the peas I'm going to do are the Douce Provence, in a posh voice. So these are early. I thought I'd try these this year. Now I'm going to multi-sow these So probably about 3 each one, and I'm just going to make a little divot in each one. I'm not going to plant too deep. And I'm actually going to do 3. Even though the sun's out today, it is quite cool still. The wind's quite icy. It's one of the reasons I don't want to start my seed sowing too early on in the season, because I see it a lot, and we've had it happen as well, where we've been actually caught short. And caught out by the frosts later on in the year, and I don't really want to be doing that. I'm just going to fill up this other seed tray because I know I want 2 lots of peas. The thing is with peas is you need quite a lot. Now I'm trying to grow enough produce to kind of last almost a year. It's not always possible, but with peas, even though you do get a good crop, they're obviously, by the time you harvest them, you've actually not got a ton. So I always try and plant plenty of peas, because the thing is with peas as well, apart from the pea moth that we had last year, we don't have many issues with anything else that we can't just cover with a bit of netting or a bit of fleece. Perfect amount. Okay, we just want to make sure the seeds have got contact, and I'm just going to sprinkle over the top. Now all my watering I'll do afterwards, and I'm going to try and do outside so I don't get so much water in here. Now these peas, because they can be direct sowing outdoors, I'm going to germinate them in the greenhouse. If they can germinate outdoors, they can germinate in the greenhouse at this time of year. I'm not bothered about seeing the separate cells. By the time you've watered them a few times, it all kind of just sinks in anyway. So the next ones I want to get in are my onions. Now I'm going to have to use the smaller trays for these, but I do want to plant a lot of onions this year. Now I'm growing them from seed, and I'm growing white sweet Spanish and Bedfordshire Champion. Now last year we grew sets of onions. Unfortunately the foxes had other ideas about what we were going to grow last year, and not long after we actually put them in, the foxes dug them up continuously. It was a giant pain in the ass. So I'm just going to firm the trays and then just top up a little bit more. Your seeds are actually going to touch fully the compost. Now onions is one of those crops that, well, we use onions with most meals. I make a lot of casseroles and things like that, and we use onions a lot. So I want to make sure that I've got plenty of onions. Now I'm going to multi-sow the onions as well, so I can get more out of this compost as possible. First off, I'm going to do some sweet onion. Now my hands are a bit wet, to be honest, so I've got to be careful what seeds I take out. Now that's the seeds, so not too small, but I'm just going to literally put some in. I'm not being overly careful. I think if you were to count out all the seeds all the time, I think you'd be here forever. Now we are pretty much dedicating a whole bed to onions, but they will be intersown. So I will have other vegetables growing in between, and just fingers crossed I get some. Now obviously it's very warm in the greenhouse in the day, warm enough to germinate, but not warm, not on the night time. And a lot of seeds like consistent heat, not just the temperature of what it is when we're actually down here. So if none of these germinate, I'll have to buy some more seed, I think. Now in some of these seed trays there's probably 6, 7, maybe even 8, but I'm not too worried about it. Now again, I'd normally water these, but I don't want to get water all inside here at the moment. It makes it a little bit more messy, and I'm just going to lightly put the soil over the top, and I'm just going to firm them slightly, and that's my Spanish onions. So I'm going to sow some Bedfordshire champion onions. Now I tried these about a month ago and I actually didn't get any germination out of them at all. Now I'm not sure whether it was the seeds or whether it was actually the soil, so I'm going to give them another couple of goes just in case it was the soil. Now I've got 3 modules here for them, but to be honest I don't think I'm going to have enough seed left, and I'm not going to buy any more seed, so we'll just see how we go. Again, I am just multi-sowing, and I'm just going to literally light soil over the top, and those are the Bedfordshire onions done, all done. And I'm just going to lightly firm it down, and fingers crossed these actually germinate.